Hey guys, it's Heather from H&P Artistry here with my Rustic Escentuals fragrance oil review. I have quite a few of these fragrance oils. As time has gone on, they have become one of my favorite fragrance oil suppliers. I've had people that have said their fragrances don't last as long. I've not had that problem. They have always been really nice fragrances. They've lasted in my soaps. People love them. I tend to like softer fragrances, and they have more of those in their, I guess, fragrance oil options. And I always get new and fun things. Sample-wise, they tend to give little samples of lip balm or lip gloss or a candle or something that I can use to test out a fragrance, and I always like that about the way they do that. They also have, if you spend so much money, you can get a fragrance oil sample in 1 ounce or some other product. And I really like that because when I order my fragrance oils, I tend to buy quite a few at one time, and that helps out a lot. But let's go ahead and get started because there are so many fragrances. Let's start with Apricot and Honey. I like this fragrance. To me, it's a very old-fashioned fragrance. The soap I made with this, I called Mrs. Dashwood because it reminded me of a lady's tea where you would have scones and tea and all of those little sweet accoutrements that you have at a really fancy tea, and that's what this fragrance reminded me of. I didn't have any problems. I was able to funnel swirl this into a round soap. I was able to skewer it to add a really nice layer and design or swirl to the soap. So this works really, really well. Let's see if I can get it to focus. There we go. It worked really well, and I definitely loved this fragrance oil. Next up in the list is the Pumpkin Pie Spice. You can tell I've had this for a really long time. And it really does smell like pumpkin pie. That is all that I can say. It smells just like pumpkin pie. I did have to add a vanilla stabilizer to it because it does darken and discolor. I don't know how dark it gets, but with the color stabilizer, it worked great. I was able to use 3 different colors with it, so it definitely is a really good fragrance oil. And I was able to put embeds in the top so it got thicker fast enough, but not too fast. Let's see. Bayberry Black Forest. This is a great fragrance. It definitely is a Christmassy kind of winter time cool fragrance. It has notes of pine in it. It smells cold, if you guys know what that means. And I hope you guys can hear me. It's storming here, so you probably hear thunder in the background. It did slow down trace quite a bit when I used this with my recipe. I used kale and clay in it. It was a hanger swirl. I ended up putting Super Sparkle Mica on top because it wasn't pipeable in the time that I needed it to be pipeable. But it is a great fragrance, and it smells rich and cool and spicy kind of all at the same time. So great fragrance, one of my favorites. Now this one is Autumn Rain. It reminds me of another soap that's on the market. I call it Fall Showers, but it's a really nice fragrance. It tends to, it's not really a masculine fragrance because anyone can use it, but my customers, more men, tend to buy this fragrance than women. It didn't speed up trace. It didn't slow down trace. It didn't discolor my soap. So it's just a solid fragrance, and it's definitely a clean fragrance. Applejack and Peel is the next one, and I call it Grandma's Apple Cider because to me it smells just like mulled apple cider, or mulled apple cider. And it did not accelerate trace. It didn't change the color, even though it's a bit of a darker color to the actual fragrance itself. It didn't change the color of the soap. It didn't discolor the soap. It was just a really nice fragrance. I will say this, out of the bottle, it is so strong, and with like the clovey, cinnamony fragrance, that I didn't think that I was going to like it. I didn't smell the apple behind it, but once it's cured in the soap, it smells incredible. Okay, Icy Peppermint. This is another one that definitely slows down trace in a really, really, really big way. So when you add it in at a light to medium trace. At least with my recipe, that's what I had to do, because if not, it takes forever for it to reach trace, and then it slows it down. So if you want to be able to make really good hanger swirl or really fine kind of wispy swirls, this is a good one. But if you want to pipe your soap, this one didn't work well for me for piping, but it smells incredible. Cool Citrus Basil is the next one up, and I actually really like this fragrance. If you are a citrus fan, if you like lime verbena, pineapple, any lemon fragrances, if you like garden soaps like the rosemary peppermint soaps, this one is a good combination for that. Out of the bottle, it's kind of a perfumey smell, but once it's in the soap, you can actually smell the individual notes of the citrus and the basil. Blackberry Scone. These soaps, I do an in the pot swirl, and I put them in actual little mini bundt cake molds, so they look like little cakes. And I have had a problem with people asking if it's food or if it's soap, because it really does smell just like a blackberry scone. I would like to eventually make a 2-layered soap that's blackberry scone on the bottom and the apricot and honey on the top, and I'm going to call it Tea Time. I even have on order little teacups and saucers and spoons and teapots molds so that I can make embeds to go in the top of the soap. So that will be really fun when those come in. And I didn't have any issue with that on it moving too fast for me at all. It didn't accelerate. It didn't discolor. The fragrance is nice and strong. It sticks really well in the soap. Next up is Bamboo Cypress. This one is kind of has a patchouli base to it. It has a little bit of patchouli, a little bit of sandalwood, that cypress fragrance in it. I'm not the biggest patchouli fan. There are 2 fragrance oils that I really like that have patchouli in them. One of them is Bamboo Cypress, one of them is Hippie Chick, and they're both from Rustic Escentuals. Now the Bamboo Cypress, more men tend to buy this one than women, just because it's a deeper fragrance, I think, than say the Hippie Chick is. The Hippie Chick is more of a sandalwood, a really soft sandalwood patchouli fragrance, where this one is much deeper. And I'm trying to find my notes while I'm talking. Sorry about that, guys. There we go. There weren't any problems with this one at all. I was able to layer it in a stripe and then do a really nice 3-color brown, green, and white. And it worked great. It's another bestseller. Next up is the Lavender Chamomile. And this one performs fantastically. I've never had a problem with it. It doesn't accelerate trace. It doesn't make trace go slower. I do use sodium lactate in all of the soaps I use. Now, I used to kind of wait until I tested them. I just use it in all of them, so I can't tell you if it makes the bar harder or softer. But I've never had a problem. It swirls really well. It layers really well. It doesn't seem to affect trace. And it smells incredible. It's super relaxing. So this is a staple. I make big batches of soap in this one. Cashmere Woods and Tonka Bean. If you want an exceptionally expensive smelling soap, this is the one that you want. It's got that wonderful cocoa sort of smell to it. It also has that cashmere softness that makes you feel comfortable and warm, and you feel like you smell expensive, is what I've been told. So this one is fantastic. No problems with coloring. I do use titanium dioxide in the soap that I make because I want the base to be super white, but I haven't really had a problem with the color changing too much, so that's not an issue. Let me see here. I think the very first time I used it, I did use a vanilla color stabilizer. I'm looking for the notes right now, you guys. Yeah. Okay, first time I used it, I did use a vanilla color stabilizer as well as titanium dioxide. I used a gold mica, a pink, and then the white. I did a little bit of a black swirl with it. So I was able to work with it. It did move a tad fast, but not too much. And the bar was really nice and solid, and it held on to the fragrance. Hipster surprised me. I got this initially in a sample and I fell in love with it, and I plan on making a lot more. I used this in a beer soap. It has kind of a coffee slash barbershop smell to it. I really can't explain it other than it just smells exceptional. I will say that the description that they give of the fragrance, I don't think fits the fragrance itself. But if you look at the top notes, mid notes, and bottom notes, that's a really good way of kind of distinguishing how it smells. But it definitely, because I named it Clean Shaven, is because it's more of a barbershop smell to me. Kind of a shaving cream barbershop smell. And it performed fine. I didn't have any problems with it. You know, I make it in a beer soap, so it definitely heats up, but it holds its color and it looks really nice. Children's Room is one of those fragrances that either you love, like really love, or you really don't love. It very much reminds me of the Baby Soft perfume from back in the 80s, early 90s that kids would buy, kind of their first perfume. It has that baby powder fragrance. Right out of the bottle, it does sort of smell like baby powder and Play-Doh, which kind of fits for Children's Room. But once it's in soap, it has that soft, powdery, light scent that's just kind of comforting. I didn't have any issues with it. It didn't accelerate. It didn't decelerate. It didn't change the color of the soap, so it worked great. I used green colorant in it. It is yellow, so the green, it wouldn't affect it. If you were using a white soap, you may need to use a decent amount of titanium dioxide. But I haven't used it in white. So anybody that has, leave comments down below and let us know how it worked in a white bar of soap, if it discolored at all or if it sped up for you. Here is the Hippie Chick that I was talking about earlier, that is the other patchouli sandalwood fragrance. Didn't have any problem. This one for me, I used powdered goat's milk in the recipe. And I didn't have any problem with it accelerating, decelerating, ricing, nothing. It worked like a charm. It smells really soft, kind of a romantic smell, really, if you kind of, I don't know, I guess everybody has a different way of explaining it, but that's what this is. It's that really soft, sweet, comforting smell. And like I said, I am not a patchouli fan. And this one I actually wear and use. So that, believe me, is a really great reference point. Oatmeal Milk and Honey. I've said this in other videos. This is my favorite Oatmeal Milk and Honey. Now they have a couple of options on the website for Oatmeal Milk and Honey fragrances. This one has a picture of oatmeal, milk in a little pitcher, and I believe a honey swizzle kind of dip thing in the picture. But this is my favorite. This is my customer's favorite. I actually put out both different versions of Oatmeal Milk and Honey, and this is the one that sold. So that's why I buy this one. And I didn't have any problems with it accelerating or doing anything crazy. It worked like a charm. Same goes for the Black Raspberry Vanilla. I've bought other Black Raspberry Vanillas from other companies in the past, but when I put them out side by side, this is the one that people will purchase. They really like it. I didn't have any problems with it sticking, with the fragrance fading. It's just a really good fragrance and it lasts a really long time. White Jasmine and Pineapple. This particular fragrance, especially during the summer, is a bestseller. People love it. It smells like the beach. It smells like a fruity drink. It is relaxing but also energizing at the same time. It is the perfect summer fragrance oil. And the only problem that I had with this one is that it rices. I had to mix and mix and mix and mix and mix to get the ricing to go away. It was a really big deal that I had to stick blend it like crazy, and I ended up in the soap layering it versus being able to do any kind of swirls or anything like that because it riced up so much and it took so long to blend the ricing out of this particular fragrance. It's worth the trouble though because the fragrance is so good. Now this one is the Green Irish Tweed. I love this fragrance. It smells like a really expensive men's cologne. I call this one my gentleman's beer soap. There's just something about it that is high-end. It smells incredible. It's kind of the fragrance that you would expect to smell on a really expensive suit. That's what this smells like. And the only problem I had with this one is the fact that I used beer in it. So of course it heated up like crazy, but I didn't have any problems layering it. I would say keep it at a very light trace if you want to do any kind of swirls with it. Only because it did accelerate a tiny, 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 tiny bit. It didn't move super fast. It was just a tiny bit of acceleration right before I poured it when I used this one. Caribbean Day Spa was a weird one for me because out of the bottle, it smells like a lemon cleaner, like a product you would clean your floors with that has kind of a lemon scent to it. In the soap, smells like a Caribbean Day Spa. It smells fresh and clean and soft and relaxing and really beautiful fragrance. In the bottle, though, when you get it, don't be disheartened, because it took me a while before I even used this, because I really didn't want to have a batch of soap that I didn't want to sell. And when I finally used it, and it's fully cured now, and it smells incredible. I ended up even making lotion in it, because after it's mixed in the lotion, the lemoniness of it goes away, and it's just a really nice, clean fragrance. And no issues with it morphing or changing or speeding up trace or discoloring either. Now, I also had Coconut Cabana, which I don't have the bottle with me currently. It worked like a charm with Coconut Cabana. It smells like if you open a fresh coconut. If you crack open a coconut, that's Coconut Cabana. It doesn't smell like suntan lotion. It smells like food. And it's a really soft fragrance. I very much would recommend it for anybody that likes coconut fragrances, but doesn't like suntan lotion smell. It's perfect. Now, next up is Raspberry Tomato Leaf. This one was actually a sample that I got for ordering so much in product. And I was excited to try it, and I'm so glad that I did, because you can smell the raspberry, you can smell the greenness of the tomato leaf, and it soaped beautifully, no acceleration, no discoloration. It was just a genuinely nice working soap. I was able to hanger swirl it. I had leaf melt and pour that I put on the top of it. And it worked great, and the fragrance definitely is sticking in that soap. Next up is Snow-Kissed Sugar. This is another one that out of the bottle, it gave me a headache. I didn't really want to use it, but then once I put it in the soap itself, it softened, and it got this dreamy, light, romantic, sweet fragrance that I wasn't expecting, and I sold out of it almost immediately. So there you go, you guys. Next up is the Pink Lilac and Willow. I have not used this one in soap. I made what are they called? Bubble bars with them, bubble bar wands with this, and I also made some lotion with it. And everyone that has tried it has loved it. The only reason I haven't used it in soap is because it's super floral. And I am kind of afraid that this one is going to be one of those that rises up like crazy, or that will potentially turn into soap on a stick, because you can smell the lilac, you can smell the willow, you can smell kind of that gardenia chrysanthemum kind of background in it. It's an extremely strong fragrance. It lasts a long time. It worked great in lotion, worked great in the bubble bars. It would be great in a bath bomb. Anybody out there that has tried it in soap, leave comments down below and let me know what you thought of it. Did it move really fast on you? Did it slow down? Did it rise? What happened for you when you used it in soap? Because I would love to make soap with this. I have a great idea for the soap that I want to make, but I don't want to waste the fragrance oil if it's going to go kind of wonky, and I don't want to buy more if I can't make soap with it. So let me know down below what you thought about this one. And that is it, you guys, for my Rustic Essentials review of the products. Let me know. I'm going to grab my favorite fragrance out of them all while we're kind of talking our way out here. Let me know what you guys think. The next up, I think I'm going to do Aztec International. I only have a couple of fragrances from them because I just started testing them out. But that will be my next. And I guess I'll see you later, guys. This is Heather from H&P Artistry, wishing you luck, love, and a really great day. Bye, guys.